This show is made possible by support from landsharks.ca. Visit them for all your coin and swag needs at www.landsharks.ca. And by viewers like you. Thank you for your donations. Garmin is chirping, cachers are record setting, and iPods are navigating. It's October 16th, 2010. This is Trackfiles. Hi there, and welcome to Trackfiles. I'm your host, Icenrye. Trackfiles is a video podcast featuring caching news, equipment reviews, upcoming events, YouTube videos, and some major milestones. My website is trackfiles.tv. My email address is geoicenrye@icenrye.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Trackfiles, and for all you people out there on Facebook, you can join the fan page at facebook.com/Trackfiles. So, what's new? Well, we are 6 days away removed from 10-10-10. And how was your 10 of 10s? Well, mine was interesting. I got some caching in that day. Fortunately, I went 2 for 5. I had 3 DNFs. However, all 3 have been since found. I just have to go out and get them myself. I just have to look harder. As for how the rest of the world went, well, that's coming up on Geocaching News. So speaking of which, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into caching news. So first off in news, we go back to 10-10-10, where Groundspeak more than set a new record for visitors to their website in one day at over 78,000. Guys, give yourselves a pat on the back. It was a heck of a day. Now, one of the things that geocaching had people do is shoot short videos and submit it to the geocaching.com fan page, where the Groundspeak lackeys threw it all together in a great little highlight video. And we're just going to roll a little bit of the video here. And again, you can find a link to the full-length video on my website at trackfiles.tv.
Hey, we're Rainbow Girls, Tampa, Florida, USA, and we're caching on 10-10-10 because this is the biggest party around the planet today.
We wanted to beat this record that we had.
It is 10-10 on 10-10-10. We are going geocaching.
Would anyone like to go find a cache?
Yeah!
All right.
2, 3.
Hey! Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
10-10-10, you're supposed to take a 10-second video.
2, 3.
Hey! We're the Flipper team.
We're 10 blocks north and 10 blocks west of the center of Denver.
At 10:10 in the morning.
We're B&O boys and we're geocaching. Was that the right word?
Tom, see you first. Yippee!
It's been 10 years that Groundspeak has been around. It's also been 10 years that geocaching's been around. So when folks were talking about that there was going to be a 10-10-10 this year, and it doesn't happen that often, we figured let's do something fun. Let's issue a challenge to all geocachers to see if they can find a cache on this one day, and we'll see how many people can do it.
So for our next news article, we stay right in Seattle at Groundspeak, because Groundspeak has introduced Souvenirs. Souvenirs are virtual pieces of art that you can discover and display on your profile page. They are associated with a particular location and may also be bound by time. There are 2 ways to discover a souvenir. The first is to log a geocache within the souvenir zone. The second is to search for a geocache using the geocaching application for iPhone or Android when you are within the souvenir zone. If you have previously logged a cache in a souvenir zone, the souvenir will be added to your profile at a later date. Some of you may already have your first souvenir. There's a little bit of a souvenir there for caching on 10-10-10. I know I got one. Did you get one? So this sounds like a great concept, and I'm looking forward to collecting more souvenirs from geocaching. This next article, some of you may have already heard about. However, for the rest of you, I'm just going to chirp a little bit. Chirp, what's that? Well, Chirp is a brand new device from Garmin aimed specifically at geocaching. From the Garmin website, we read, geocachers have a new trick up their sleeves and in their caches, as we're introducing Chirp, a unique wireless beacon designed specifically for the outdoor adventures of geocaching. Affordable, durable, and waterproof, Chirp can communicate and be programmed by any compatible wireless-enabled Garmin handheld for a more interactive and enjoyable geocaching experience. Cache creators and seekers alike will enjoy the benefits as Chirp stores hints, transmits multi-cache coordinates, counts visitors, and confirms the cache is nearby. Here's a brief introductory video from the Garmin website.
Hey, this is Jake from Garmin, and I'm here to tell you about our latest innovation in geocaching. It's called Chirp, and it's this wireless beacon that is only about the size of a quarter, but it's going to make a big difference in geocaching. Because whether you're creating or hiding a cache, you can be more connected and more creative than ever before. Here's how it works. You use a compatible Garmin handheld to program your Chirp, and don't worry, it's password protected, so only you are going to be able to change the contents and what your Chirp says. And then if I'm out hiding a cache, I can tell it when to let people know when someone's getting close to my cache. And also, when I come back to check my cache, it'll tell me how many people have visited my cache. If you're one of the people out searching for a cache, then you're going to find out as you're closing in on it. And also, if it's a multi-cache, you're going to get hints and even the coordinates to the next stop. So that way you're not out there plugging in coordinates out in the wild. You can get on with your day and keep finding more caches. Now, it's waterproof, so that means it's going to be able to withstand the most rugged conditions, and it has a user replaceable battery which lasts about a year. So it's a great way to get the most out of your geocaching. To learn more about Chirp and Garmin's other geocaching products, go to garmin.com/geocache, follow us on Twitter at Garmin, or check back here at the Garmin blog.
So it sounds like an interesting concept, and for now it looks like it only works with Garmin related devices. However, we're going to sit back and see what happens, because this sounds like it's a really great new toy in our geocaching bag. Well, that about wraps it up for news. Let's look at a cool new toy to turn your iPod Touch into a geocaching device. So a little while back, Daryl W4 of Cachemaniacs and the Geocaching Podcast sent me a review on the Dual GPS Cradle for the iPod Touch. How does this unit work in a geocaching environment? Let's find out.
Well, ever since I got this about a year and a half ago, which is my iPhone, I've been using this a lot less. And I was thinking, you know, it'd be kind of nice to really not need that other device, the handheld device, and just go down to this. But, you know, for most of us, the $30 a month in addition to the telephone service for your iPhone or whatever gets a little bit much. So what if you could do that with something that didn't require data service? Well, the guys over at Dual, who you might know from their turntable, sent me one of their Dual GPSs to try out, which works on the iPod Touch to be exact. So it gives you kind of the same functionality, and I wanted to take a look at that and see what it can do. And really what you're interested in is this. This is the actual XGPS 300 sled, and it takes your regular iPod Touch and you can slide it in and it docks just like many of the battery packs like the Mophie and Energizer, etc. And it is a battery pack as well as a GPS. Now normally the battery will power the GPS when you have it in the GPS mode, but it will not power the iPod itself, which really isn't too much of a problem if you think about it, because the iPod Touch doesn't have the wireless network to deal with that the iPhone does, and it also doesn't have to deal with powering that GPS since it's actually powered off that battery. Now the kit itself comes with a windshield mount, car charger, and the software for navigating in the car if you're so inclined, and it really is designed more for that kind of application, someone who's looking to use this as a replacement for their personal navigation device. But we're going to give this a shot today, even though it is a little bit pricey at almost $200. So why don't you come with us and check it out. So we've come to Cummingston Park today. No dogs, but instead 3 devices, an iPod Touch with the Dual GPS Cradle, my iPhone, and my trusty PN40. And we're going to see today if this device, which will give us most of the functionality of the iPhone, because it's the same operating system and same apps, can actually replace our trusty high-quality GPS and not have to pay the $30 that we have to do with the iPhone. So there's 3 caches in here. We're going to check them all out. Let's see. Well, so I find that I'm actually using the PN40 the most right now because this guy has no maps. Now, I was smart enough to load all of the geocaches in through the Pocket Query and load maps for one of the caches, but that's the problem with using the geocaching app. It has no built-in maps. So even the iPhone can download those maps, but takes a little while. So this guy's just right now winning. Well, we found that first cache, no problem really. It took a little bit of effort, but the dual GPS was actually the closest one. Well, I've got now the maps that I had loaded for the other cache, so I'm using this one. Well, that time the PN40 won the contest. It was the closest on that final traditional we're using today to test, but the dual came in a close second. Now, we're actually working on an Earth cache, and this is where I find that the iPhone has been really handy because I love using Evernote to keep track of all of this stuff. And well, the PN40 can't do it at all. The iPod Touch, however, can do things like Evernote in an offline mode and then resync, so that will come in a close second. But now, let's get this shot and we'll talk a little bit more on the way out. Ready? Well, so that wraps up our caching today in Cummingston Park. We got the 2 traditionals and then the Earth cache, of course, and tried out that dual GPS. You know, it's a nice unit. It definitely does the job. It is better performance typically than the iPhone is, but at $200, that just seems a lot for an add-on to a phone. You can get an entire GPS now for the same kind of price that does a really nice job. There's the Magellan GC that's regularly priced under $200, about the same as a dual. This guy's under $200 now. We've seen all kinds of specials on the Garmin GPSs. So, you know, I don't think it's worth the money. If you're really looking for something though, you want that functionality and don't want to pay for the service plan on the iPhone, it's worth checking out. But now, I'm getting really hungry. We're gonna hit the road.
So thanks, Daryl, for that great report. We'll have to see how this item does in the future. So next we have geocaching events. If you have an upcoming event you'd like featured on Trackfiles, email me, geoicenrye@icenrye.com. The following events are all scheduled for next Saturday, October 23rd, 2010. First, we start off with the 6th Annual Florida Fiddlers Fest by IceCreamMan. From there, we go to the Athens Cacher Coffee, October 2010 by GeoJunkie. And finally, we have Half Canadian's Halloween Whodunnit by Half Canadian and Scooter the Wonder Dog. So these are just 3 of the many events being held next Saturday in the geocaching community. And as usual, I'll have links on my website at trackfiles.tv. So for our final segment, we look back at this past week in geocaching podcasts. We start off with Cachemaniacs, where Dale and Dree interview Joss of London. He dreams of caching in Australia and the United States, but recommends fellow cachers try the United Kingdom. From there, we hook up with a geocaching podcast where they discuss Where I Go on the iPhone, and they talk to the creator of the iPhone app Where Pi Go. And folks, I just finished listening to that interview, and it's a really well done interview, and it's really neat to listen to the inventor of an iPhone app. And make sure you check it out. As usual, I'll have links on my website. So that about wraps it up for the show, but before we go, a couple of quick notes. As usual, shout out to Landsharks for their continuing sponsorship with Trackfiles. Make sure you visit them at landsharks.ca for all your caching and coin needs. Next, I'd like to thank all the people who continue to contribute financially to this podcast. Folks, without your contributions, this podcast wouldn't be possible. And if you'd like to contribute, visit my website at Icenrye.com, and across the top you'll see PayPal buttons where you can donate $10, $5, or whatever amount you so desire. Also, I'd like to thank all the fans of the show who've signed up for the Trackfiles fan page at facebook.com/Trackfiles. And remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Trackfiles. But in the meantime and in between time, that's it. Another episode of Trackfiles I hope you enjoyed. So until the next episode, cache on.